Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to solve log equations. And so, of course, we've got a few little steps just to make it easy. So the first thing we're going to do is isolate the log. And so sometimes you're going to actually have to combine if you have multi-steps. So for example, if I look down here, I have a log and a log. So to combine here, we're going to have to use the log properties. So you might want to pull those back out again if you need some help on that. All right, so then the next thing that we do is once it's all combined, we change to exponential form, and then we're going to solve. All right, so let's just jump right into it. So here, my log is isolated. That's my step one. My log is isolated. So now I'm going to convert this. So 4 to the 3 equals this. So 4 to the 3 equals 2x minus 5. So here's my conversion to exponential form. Now, I know 4 cubed. 4 cubed is 64. And then this is just a simple linear equation. So nothing fancy about this. So I'm going to add 5. So this gives me 2x equals 69. So I have x equals 69 divided by 2. Okay. Let's do a harder one. So here's what I have. I have all of this mumbo jumbo. Now, this is not a log property. A log property would tell me that these would all have to be multiplied or divided, and they're not. They're all added. So this is isolated. So this is ready for me to convert. So I have 2x squared minus 11x plus 21 equals 3 squared. Now, all I did was I changed the order. So normally when I popcorn this, I would have 3 squared equals this. Right? So I just changed the order just to make it look like I've got everything on this side. Now we know this value is 9. So I have 2x squared minus 11x plus 21 equals 9. So if I'm solving for x, at this point, I have to set equal to 0 and factor. So when I move this over, I end up with 2x squared minus 11x, holy brain fart, plus 12 equals 0. All right, so now I'm going to trial and error this. And so this first one's easy because I only have one option, 2x. And then if I want 11, then I know if I use 3 and 4, that's going to give me 8 plus 3. So this is going to be 3, and this is 4. So here's 8, and here's 11, and they're both negative. All right, so last step. Last step here is I'm going to set these equal, and I get x equals 3 over 2, and x equals 4. So I have 2 answers for this, and that's okay. All right, now something that's super important, and we don't have it here, but I'm going to do this. When we solve these, when we solve any of these, and we have to look as if we plug it back in, we can never have a negative log. And let me show you what happens. I'm going to use my calculator here. And so if I just take log of any negative number, negative 2, for example, I get a non-real answer. It doesn't work. And so if I go in here and I just make this, if I make this log of 2.5, it works. I get an answer. If I have log of 0.35, it works. I get a negative log. But if I do log of negative 0.35, I get a non-real answer. So we just have to make sure that whatever we end up with here, if we were to plug it back in, it's not negative. Okay, we can't have, a negative answer. All right, let's look at this one. Here I have to combine properties. So if I combine properties, I'm adding, and when I add, I multiply. So same base. So what I end up with is x squared minus 7x equals 3. And what I did is I just combined. So I know that I'm going to multiply this times this, so it's like I'm distributing. So x squared minus 7x. Okay, so I'm going to popcorn this, and I get x squared minus 7x equals 2 cubed. So when I combine here, x squared minus 7x minus 8 equals 0. All right, so now I have x minus 8 and x plus 1 equals 0. So when I solve this, I get x equals 8 and x equals negative 1. So here's my two answers. Now, what do I have to do? I have to take these and plug them back in. Well, look what happens. If I plug in an 8 here, it works. If I plug in a negative 1, I get a negative 1. So this is not going to work. This is extraneous. I got an answer, but it doesn't work. Now let me show you how I can test that. Now this is log base 2. So in your calculator, if you hit the math button right here, then you can arrow all the way down or arrow up and you see this log base. So if you select log base, I can plug in log base 2 and I can go over here and I can plug in negative 1. And when I plug in negative 1 and I hit enter, I get an error. Now, I can test this again and I can go up here and do log base 2, and now I'm going to go over and I'm going to plug in my answer of 8. And when I plug in my answer of 8, I get an answer that's 3. Okay? And that's what we have right here. We wanted that answer to be 3. So, you're not going to have your calculators to check this. I just wanted to show you how it works. Okay, couple more. So with this next one, what I have here is log base 5, and now I'm subtracting. So log base 5, I'm going to have x over x plus 3, and this is going to equal 2. Okay, now this is isolated, so at this point I'm going to popcorn this out. So here's what I have. I have x over x plus 3 equals 5 squared. 5 squared, which is 25. Now, these x's don't cancel. These x's, I have to figure this out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator. And when I multiply both sides by the denominator, then I'm going to have x's on both sides, but I don't have this fraction anymore. So here's what I'm going to end up with. X equals 25 times x plus 3. So I took this, if I multiply this side and multiply this side's going to cancel, and I end up with this. So now I can distribute this. And from this point, I can take it and I can move this over. So I have negative 24x equals 75. So x equals negative 75 over 24. Okay, but look what happens. If we take this value and we plug it back in here, what do we see? We see that we have a negative number, and this doesn't work. So this is an example of no solution. All right, so what do I have on this side? I've got log x, I've got log x, I've got log x. I'm going to just hang tight on this one. I'm going to just work on this side. So what I get is log of 24x squared plus 11x equals log of 18. Now, if you think back of what we were trying to do is we were trying to get the same base on both sides. Well, I have the same base on both sides now. I have just a log. So because I have this log, I can just get rid of these and I can say 24x squared plus 11x equals 18. So I can move this over. I can't pull out a factor, but I'm going to go ahead and factor this. I can't pull out a GCF, but I can factor this. So let's see, 9, 8, 24. I think it's going to be this. Let's see, plus 9. So this is going to be 27 and 16. Okay, so that works. So negative 18, 27, 16. Yeah. All right, so what are my answers? Negative 9 over 8 and x equals 2 over 3. Now, I go back to this one. I have a log of x, so this guy doesn't work. This is my only answer. Okay, last one. So log base 5. So I have log base 5 of x over x plus 1 equals negative 1. So here, because I'm subtracting, I have to divide. Okay, this doesn't have a log, so now I have to popcorn this back out. So x over x plus 1 is going to be 5 to the negative 1. All right, so 5 to the negative 1 is the same as 1/5. So I have x over x plus 1 equals 1/5. Well, now what I have here is two proportions. So I can butterfly this guy. So this gives me 5x equals x plus 1. Because there's just 1 here, I'm just going to move it over. So this gives me 4x. And 1/4 is positive, so I'm all good. Okay, I know I went through this really quick. We're going to do a lot of examples of this. So come see me if you're struggling on the homework.